Ashugalan Cancer, I'm Medicine, and I am your Arivan for this reading. So excited to bring you. We are doing a reading for the season of Libra, the first trimester of Libra, and that is the time between September 23rd and October 3rd, 2019, of course, this year. It's the first trimester of Libra for you Cancers, and what we're looking at is we're looking at the shaman of birth. Okay, so the shaman of birth is the first trimester. It represents the first trimester of Libra. The shaman of birth is really about creating a partnership with the aspects of yourself inside of you. That's what it's about. It's about creating a partnership, a matrimony, a marriage, a business partnership, even with that which is inside of yourself. Oftentimes, what we project outside of ourselves is different from than who we are inside of ourselves. The feminine aspect of us represents that which is inside of ourselves. The masculine aspect of us represents that aspect that is outside of ourselves. The feminine aspect, okay, represents that which is more receptive, represents that which is more impregnating. It represents your yin energy, your shadow force, the unconscious and subconscious realms of self. Unconscious realms of self included here. So that means that aspects of self we are not consciously aware of. There are aspects of self we are not consciously aware of. And the masculine side of self is that side of self that we are consciously aware of. So that's the biggest thing about this. When we look at these two, we're looking at inner strength versus outer strength. We're looking at emotional and spiritual strength versus mental and physical strength. You understand? So we're creating a partnership. You're creating communication. Your communication, your partnership has to do with the shadow self versus the higher self, right? Higher self, shadow self. So your communication, your partnership is really having to do with with creating that partnership with that force that is inside of yourself, along, in conjunction, alongside, in alignment with that which is outside of yourself. This is what we're looking at. And when the two forces come together, they create a product of love. And this is why we see the baby that's sitting within the womb of the feminine self. What the baby really talks about on the inside of the female is feelings, dreams, images, visions, desires, goals, that can be created when the external self, the conscious higher self, is in relationship with the shadow unconscious self. Okay? And this is why. This is the difference. This is the difference really with Libra is that Libra is an energy that communicates from with the aspects of within. Because the idea is that who you are within is what's going to be reflected without. So all of your externalized partnerships, in your life, they are reflecting some aspect of you that you may not be consciously aware of how the people on the outside of yourself are actually reflecting something that is unconsciously inside of yourself. You may not be consciously aware of it. The masculine side is our conscious side. Our unconscious side is that of the feminine. Even though Cancer is a feminine energy, but Cancer, that is your conscious energy. Okay? Your unconscious energy has to do with what is inside of yourself. And you will understand that in life, through people, what you see outside is what's inside. You just haven't gotten aware of it yet. And when you can learn to love what is inside of yourself, fully and wholly and completely, you create a product of love. I really want to stress that for those of us who are considering having children, okay, or are wondering if we have children, this could be a great omen that says that you're going to have children or you're going to be pregnant, but it's not exactly one that says you have conceived. You understand? Because we're talking about the physical versus the spiritual here. Okay. So what we're looking at is I may have conceived spiritually and emotionally, whatever my dream, my aspiration, the vision, but I haven't yet conceived it physically. Okay, so because it all happens spiritually before it happens physically. You understand? So and emotionally. It all happens physically and spiritually before it happens. It all happens emotionally and spiritually before it happens mentally and physically. You understand? So we're really we're really wanting to tap into that unconscious side of self in order to find, you know, the dream, to find the vision, to find the feeling, and to allow that invisible force that has yet to be physically active because it's not physically conceived to communicate with your conscious self. You understand? So you got to be willing to create that marriage with your inner self. There's lots of times where we tend to project outside and we feel things inside of ourselves that we don't necessarily like or enjoy about ourselves. Um, and I really want to encourage all of us, to really learn to love those darker sides of ourselves because the dark half and the light half together create the product of love, not the light half all on its own. So for you, funny enough, Libra happens to be in your fourth house. Libra happens to be in your fourth house. And the shaman of birth, we're beginning that process here with the shaman of birth. So we're looking at family. We're looking at um, we're looking at domesticity. We're looking at emotional security here. Um, and I believe a lot in what we've been talking about is that a lot of ways for you to create that is by being, you may not necessarily be aware of it or you may be aware of it, but when you can create that inner balance and that inner peace and come to peace with the inner self and create that partnership between your outer self and your inner self, um, your family, that's going to reflect in your family life, however way that is for you, however way you would like it to be projected or reflected in your family life. It'll reflect there, however way that is for you. So getting emotionally secure with your inner self is really what's going to help you get emotionally secure with your outer self. Understanding that the people in your family, they are representing some side of yourself from within. And when you communicate with them, you're actually communicating with your inner self. So really learning how to have communications with your inner self and to learn how to love it. Even those sides of us that we don't necessarily like, even those sides of us that drive us nuts. Because when we can do that from within, then we have a more fulfilling partnership from without. Because we realize that we are everything that our family is about. To some extent, I also get that there's big mother energy happening here too. That you hold your mother really deep inside of yourself. Okay. And there's also a lot of truth in that our mother energy, however our relationship with our mother was growing up, is the relationship that we have with our inner selves. Because our mother represents the inner self. So, however relationship we have, whatever our relationship looked like with our mom growing up, chances are your inner self has a lot to do with your mom. However way that was for you, even if it was from a place of pain, however way that was from you, the good and the bad, because we spent 9 months in our mother's womb. So we were inside of our mom. Our mother is inside of us. Our 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 father energy might express a more externalized force, but our mother energy is on the inside. So I really want to encourage you. Sometimes, whatever's going on in your life, creating this balance, understanding how to communicate with your inner self may, in some ways, um, reveal how you can communicate best with your mother because you can understand that your mother is a part of you, right? And when we look at the fourth house, we look at ancestral. So we look at blood. So we look at blood ties. So on a DNA genetic level, your mother is a part of you. No matter what your relationship is with her, your mom's a part of you anyway. On a DNA level, you understand? On a genetic, karmic, blood level, your mom is still a part of you. So it doesn't even matter what your relationship with her at this time. You are still a part of your mom is still a part of you in here. You understand? She's a part of you in here. And she will always be a part of you in here. There's no way of escaping that. So as soon as you can begin to fall in love and allow that marriage to happen, that external marriage to happen inside of yourself, you know, because I get right here that we're transitioning. So we're transitioning from independence. So first of all, this shell for me, anytime this shell pops up, I'm looking at emotional security. It's popping up in your first house. So the first house, even though Cancer might be in the fourth house, the first house is, that's how you project yourself out in the world. And we're transitioning into creating physical security. But obviously, you also want that physical and financial security. You want that material security to also be emotionally secure too. And if you're going to have physical, emotional, financial security, really, we're going to have to take a look at your domestic energy, your familial energy, that energy that came from growing up with your mom, whatever your relationship was like with family, and your mother energy. We're going to have to take a look at that. And so with this one, I see that at the center there are some things that are just quite inactive. Could be that there are some resistances going on here. There's inactivity going on. There's like a numbness going on, inside in the creator self. I haven't necessarily tapped into my creator self with this bone sitting at the center, upside down. Maybe there's some blockages to tapping into my inner creator self. Maybe there's some blockages there, you know. But, what I'm seeing is that I'm looking at being emotionally secure. To some extent, I also might be looking at, because the two of them are coming in conjunction with one another, I also might be looking at, um, I am blocked. Like perhaps I am emotionally blocked in some ways from being able to receive. However way it resonates with you. For some of you, you might be emotionally blocked from being able to receive. Uh, uh, if that's receiving certain information, if that's receiving certain feelings, certain dreams, maybe there's some part of you that's numbed out. Maybe there's some part of you that's inactive. Maybe there's some blockages and resistances going on there. There's some inactivity going on within your unconscious self, within your soul self, within your creator self. Okay. And perhaps it has to do with an emotional blockage that's going on. Okay. As opposed to being open and receptive, I'm being protecting. I am protecting myself. I'm emotionally protecting myself or mentally protecting myself. But I'm protecting myself is the point here. I'm protecting something, you know. Um, and perhaps because you are protecting yourself, if it's you're protecting yourself from being hurt or from being harmed, that might be what um, the numbness might be about, the inactivity might be about at your center, is because you've been protecting yourself from being hurt or from being harmed, perhaps. Okay. Um, but I see the transition here. I think that I feel in a way concerned because I feel as if I'm going into materialism and physical and physical security for some of you, not for all of you. For some of you, we could still be looking at um we could still be looking at getting emotional security, but what I really want to say about that is as long as there's inactivity going on the inner self, unconsciously on the inside, this is not going to be able to happen in a really good transition the way that you would like it to happen or really foresee it to happen, or the way that I would at least like it to happen for you, you know. Or maybe you hopefully you like it to happen for yourself and just in a good way. Like I don't have any depth like visions or anything like that, but always I would love I want my readers, I want my followers to be blessed. And so, um, my concern is that with the inactivity going on here, your transition might not be very blessed here. Okay. And so we really want to try to clean that up. We really want to try to understand what is going on as far as the emotional inactivity that's going on here at the center, or the energy, the spiritual inactivity. Maybe there's a lot of repressed energy. Maybe there's a lot of repressed um, I can't trust my instincts. I can't trust my impulses. I can't trust my intuition type deal. There's like a inactivity going on there, maybe, like trying to be logical or trying to be, thinking and, trying to do things not to hurt myself. And maybe in that way I've sort of emotionally blocked myself or spiritually blocked myself from being able to see what's going on, from being able to receive from spirit. Um, this one, I like this one because in some way, it, anyway, that's just a personal thing. Anyhow, point being is that as you come into this physical, my concern is that you're going to end up being out of balance as far as materialistic versus spiritualistic, if that makes sense. Because I'm protecting myself so much, not really allowing myself to open my heart, perhaps, you know, maybe because there was pain and hurt in your life or whatever the case might be. And so you really want to become aware of how you might be spiritually, emotionally blocking yourself from being able to being able to see your dream come true, whatever that looks like for you. Okay. Um, but there is a transition going on, and in some sense, there's like two people going on here. For some of you, there's two people going on here for you. Because there's one person who's perhaps impulsive and is perhaps like very active and perhaps like very independent. Both of them are very independent, but this one is perhaps more earthy, more stubborn, more pragmatic, slow moving. This one is perhaps more fast moving, spontaneous, risk taking. This one is perhaps more cautious. So, I'm wondering if I am having emotional indecisiveness perhaps between these two energies. If that's two people or if that's two inner energies, an external energy versus an outer energy, whatever the case might be, um, I'm wondering if there is an inability to be able to balance them out. And for some of you, that may be what's causing yourself to just kind of like numb out and protect your feelings and emotions and not let yourself get hurt, and that whole bit right there. Um, but what I want to say with this is the awareness in itself, because in some sense, this can also be asking you to create a sort of psychic shielding too. Maybe you're emotionally drained. And maybe for some of you, there needs to be a psychic shielding that is created so that you can be able to protect, so that you can be able to protect yourself on a more emotional, psychic level in order to, create the things that you want to create in your life, you know. Or on some level, it could be saying, the shaman of birth, we're looking at communication between the masculine and feminine energies here, um, and how they create the whole. I mean, the shaman of birth is always and forever a secretive energy anyway. It's always an energy of like going within. I had a ping and I had an idea there, but it's asking you maybe to protect that. It's asking you maybe to protect uh protect yourself, be secretive, be emotionally secure, create that psychic shielding so that other people cannot um have influence, perhaps, or say so, or 2 cents over your life, you know. Um but just really asking you to kind of keep things kind of like, you know safe and emotionally protected at this time. But just this really concerns me. This here really concerns me because it's inactivity. Okay, which means that there's likely some stagnation happening. At the center of all of this, there's some stagnation happening. So you really want to figure out what that is. Okay. You really want to figure out what that is. You want to figure out why that is. You want to figure out um, how to go about clearing those blockages inside of yourself so that you can be able to create from a place of center. Always and forever, whenever I see a bone in the center, always and forever, it's time to get centered. So the first thing that you may want to do is get centered. Center yourself. Okay? Um, and throw up that psychic shielding, right? Throw up that psychic shielding. Center yourself. Okay? Um, Understand how to work with your instincts and your impulses, how to be spontaneous and yet also when to be cautious. Understand when to be, risk taking versus when to be cautious. Understanding when to be, um, instinctive and action oriented versus when to simply just enjoy the pleasures, the simple pleasures of life. You know, I think there's a sort of balance that must be striking here. When to take action, when to go out into the world, and when to make things happen, versus when to just enjoy the simple pleasures of life. And to really give yourself permission to enjoy what brings you pleasure. You know, being adventurous versus being at home and relaxing and chilling out, you know? I also see here that there might be some losses going on too. There might be, spiritually, it might be time for you to clear out old energies that are no longer serving you. And maybe also in the physical sense, it's time to clear out those energies as well. So really just allowing yourself to really be reborn and allowing yourself to really get back to self and to clear out old stagnation so that you can be able to progress in your life the way that you would like to be able to progress in your life, Cancer. So that these energies here, whatever is inactive here, whatever is stagnated or repressed here, can get back to moving. So I hope this all has helped or resonated with you somehow. Thank you so very much for checking in. Thank you so very much for joining the circle. Of course, like and subscribe if it resonates with you, if you like what you see. And I look forward to continuing this journey with you. Love you very much, Cancer. Take care of yourself until next time. Agalanor.